almost miraculously, this happens. We get dogs into a foster after years in boarding, and almost always they get adopted like a few months later because now the dog has learned how to be part of the family, kind of hang out when everybody's watching TV and learn, like you said, learn the boundaries. Okay, I'm not allowed in the kitchen or around the dining room table when people are eating, those kind of things that just make the dog more adoptable. And that's really what we're looking for. Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. And welcome back to our podcast for the love of dog. I'm PJ Rosch, and I'm here with Christine Smith.
Hello. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you're here. So 2024 was tough. And it looks like 2025 is starting really tough for a lot of people. I just want to tell everybody that our hearts go out to everybody who's lost their homes or is displaced or whatever you're doing to battle all the fires in our LA area. It's horrible. We're trying to figure out a way how we can help. As everybody knows, we kind of took a step back when we had to close out the facility last year. So we don't have the space we used to. And I wish we did because we could probably help more animals and people in need if we did. But now that we are working on that, and we will try. And again, our hearts do go out to everybody that's dealing with this, from the people who are losing their homes and being displaced, the people who've been hurt or injured, to all the firefighters and first responders. I mean, it's been tough, I know. And it's certainly not the way that anybody wanted to start the first few days of the new year. But the universe doesn't always comply with what we need or want.
No, it does not.
Mm-mm. So I thought we'd switch gears just a tiny bit. We had our recap yesterday for Home for the Holidays. We do that every year. At the year end, we kick off usually right around Giving Tuesday and work through the end of the year to try and raise critical funds. And this year was no different. And I think a lot of people probably wonder why us and other nonprofits are constantly raising money. And no, it's not to fuel our champagne, lighting cigars with $100 bills lifestyle. So far from that. If you look at a lot of the bigger nonprofits like St. Jude and Shriners Hospital and ASPCA, to name a few, they're fundraising all year long. I mean, I have the TV on a lot for the dogs here, but their commercials are constantly in heavy rotation, and they're always raising money. It's hard because when you are trying to save or help a vulnerable population like we do, and mostly it's dogs for us, but we do help humans as well. It takes a lot of resources. So that's what we're always fundraising. And we did a little twist this last year where we incorporated Miles for Mutts. So we had our 9 of us on our peer-to-peer fundraising, and we walked over 500 miles together as a team, which was kind of cool. But I know you participated, Christine, and you have some thoughts on, the peer-to-peer fundraiser part, because I do want to talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but I kind of wanted to hear from you since you were a big part of that.
Yeah, I always look forward to the peer-to-peer fundraising. I know people get a little bit intimidated about doing it and if they can do it. And really, not a whole lot goes into it. You just need to commit to being part of it. This year, the walking for us, because we walk every day, which I'm sure most dog owners do, it was fun being able to walk for a purpose during that month. Every time I stepped out the door and hit my tracker, I knew that those miles were going towards a purpose, not just the exercise and myself and my dog, Malibu. So that made it a lot of fun. I do like those type of challenges. The team was really good about rooting each other on, regardless of how many miles you had. So, some days you can't walk as many as other days, and that's completely okay. As long as you're getting out there doing it, you're being part of the team. You have the other team to motivate you. It was a lot of fun. And we didn't raise as much money as I hoped to personally, but I did raise some funding, and I was just happy to raise anything.
Yeah. And I think that's something that people, I'm so worried I'm not going to raise money. I mean, it does, of course we need the money, but it was, like you said, it was really kind of cool to have that team camaraderie. Like you said, everybody was very supportive of each other. And, you mentioned like, that you could walk as many miles some weeks. And that's true, right? Of everybody. I think it's funny because towards the end, my watch was giving me a hard time. It was saying, you're not as active as you were last week. And I was like, well, screw you, I'm busy. So, no, but it's
It's
nice. And
holidays.
yeah, but come on. Um, no, but I mean, like you said, most of us, I mean, I know both of us, we walk every single day, multiple times a day. So sometimes because we have dogs, and I think it's good. And I hope that we can expand it next year because I really wanted to, and it was a lot of bandwidth issues for us. Like, we're a small team, lots going on, but I would love to have more peer-to-peer fundraisers because that is how we raise a lot more money. And it doesn't matter. You have 30 teams and they each raise $300, that's still a lot of money that can go to saving lives. So, and to your point, there's not much, once you sign up, you just post it and you ask everybody, to support you, whether it's your friends, family, neighbors, church members, coworkers, whoever. You can just ask anybody or just put it out there in your social channels. People are very understanding that at the end of the year, and they're also very generous at the end of the year because I think the status in like the last 3 days of the year, like it's like billions of dollars of raise across all nonprofits. So it's a cool thing. As you said, it makes you feel part of the community. And I'm really hoping that next year, if we decide to do that, or even if we do it later on this year, that, we can get more people and that, we'll have people virtually walking rescue dogs. I was hoping to get more of that. Because if you don't have a dog, you can still participate. You can just, walk with your virtual rescue dog. And we certainly have so many of those that, that, are in need. So anyway, I think that's a really cool thing. And again, that we make the peer-to-peer fundraising very easy. There's a toolkit that you get. We set you up for success. It really isn't hard at all. You just need to, sign up for the team and then, ask people, excuse me. And if you're not somebody who wants to sign up for the Miles for Mutts, that's okay too. I mean, you didn't have to do that. You can still fundraise without that piece of it. So I think that's, it's hard because we have to ask for money all the time. And I know I get tired of it. So sure, our community is tired of it. But one thing I will say is that our community it's so humbling to me because they do really care about us, care about the dogs, know that's what we're trying to do. Every penny we raise goes to the dogs, the care and feeding of the dogs. And our team works extra hard to make sure that they're all well cared for. And again, that costs money, unfortunately. I wish we could do it for free. If I won the lottery, I swear to God, I would never fundraise again because it's my least favorite part about running a nonprofit, but we have to have it. So,
The only other thing I wanted to add in is you don't have to be tech savvy to do the walking challenge. I myself am not that tech savvy. You need to use obviously an app to track your walks, but you can do that easily. Bring it in paper. The other thing I wanted to mention is I know at the end of the year, a lot of people are looking for gift ideas, and donating is a great way to ask for help from coworkers, from friends and family. A lot of us, we don't need anything. We're adults now. We buy our own gifts and what we need. So asking for a $20 donation in lieu of a gift, white elephant gifts for, companies, that would be a great way to get back to us. So just some ideas for future.
I think those are all really good ideas. One of the things I've been toying with a couple of years in a row, but again, it comes down to bandwidth. I have all these ideas, as Christine knows. My ideas have ideas, but it's yeah, it's hard to rein them in sometimes, and so I need to stay focused. But the one of the things I really want to do is that I can't think of the word, but it's almost like a virtual adoption, right? Or it's so you can adopt a dog. Yeah, really adopting a dog. You make a donation towards that dog, and that can be a gift also. To somebody who really likes animals or whatever. So I think that's a really good idea. I think there's a lot of really creative ways to help. And again, we say this all the time. I understand that not everybody can donate all of the time when we ask. I do understand that. Nobody understands that more than I do. But sharing our social posts or sharing our emails or just telling people about the fundraiser, sending out links, to your community that really helps. I mean, so even if you're not donating $1, that's okay. Sharing is really caring because that helps other people be aware of our mission, what we're doing, and then they might donate. So you really are stimulating us raising funds just by sharing and telling people about us. So again, it's not hard. You don't have to be tech savvy, and if you're passionate about loving and helping with animals, then that's a really good way. And like I said, we are trying to figure out how we are going to help with the fire. I know there's so many in need. The shelters are overburdened, and they are already overburdened, as we know. Many of you reached out about fostering, and that is probably the only way right now that we could save more dogs, because we just don't have any place to put them now that we don't have our facility. Boarding places are very far away, especially the ones that are affordable. So it just makes it harder for us to do everything like meet and greets if somebody wants to adopt or whatever. But and they also just getting updated pictures and videos and things like that. It's harder when they're in boarding, and we don't like them in boarding. We want them to be close to us. We want them to be able to see them, walk them, do all those things. So I think that's we're hoping that if people do continue to ask to foster, and we will try our best to help some dogs. And I know it's always the medium and large dogs that are in need. A lot of people want to foster a small dog, but I think the point is that the shelters are so overrun right now that rescuing any dog will help, help the shelter, help the dog, and help just people in general. But so I say, if you're listening to this, please go to thelittlereddog.org and click on foster and fill out a foster application. Even if we don't have a dog for you right now, like I said, we are trying to figure out how we can rescue, but we can't rescue without fosters. So
I think you covered anything. I think even if you're wavering on the idea of fostering, just fill out the application. Let us talk to you. We can talk to you about what our requirements are, and if it's going to be short term, long term. We'll work with you and what you have available. And again, just a reminder that fostering is free. There's no cost to you. We cover food, medical. We give you all the support you need. We just need you to commit to at least 4 months and provide the dog with enough exercise and stability, boundaries, and just really set that dog up for success. But again, right now, the main goal is to provide help with the dogs that are in immediate need. There's so many that are getting flown out of state because we don't have the resources here in California to help them. So I've seen a lot going out of state as well. And if we can keep them here locally, we would love to do that.
yeah, no, that's a really good point. I do provide everything. I think most rescues do. So even if you don't foster for us, foster for somebody. We have dogs that we really need foster. Some have never been in a home. Some have been in, either the shelter system or boarding for most of their lives. So I would love to get some of our dogs into foster too, but we do recognize there's a huge need right that now, and that's our ethos. As difficult as things are right now for the little red dog, we recognize that people are having a worse time. They've lost their homes. Like I think if anybody tuned in to our recap on January 11th, one of our longtime supporters, she was a foster, she adopted, she and her husband donate all the time. And Leah Snell, they lost their home. They live in Altadena and their home is gone. And I think it just brings it home. It's in our family. So we want to help as much as we can. Thankfully, Leah and her family and her dog Sable are all healthy and happy, and they're safe, which is good. But they don't have a house, which is horrible, and they're going to figure out where they're going to live if they can rebuild. So again, it just brings it home, and I just want people to know that we are going to help. Whether it's a monetary donation to some people or to some organizations that are helping, or if we can rescue, we will, because that's what we want to do. We always want to rescue. But it's just been hard right now because we don't have a lot of fosters. So I hope this brings out people, like Christine said, if you're raving on the fence, 4 months of your life is not that hard. We're not going to give you a dog that you can't handle or that doesn't fit in your life. If you have cats, I'm not going to give you a cat eater because, that's just something we wouldn't do. But do know that if you do foster, you do need to be a little bit patient and a little bit more flexible, because we're not asking you to adopt. So this is a place where, like Christine said, they get in a home and the dogs, almost miraculously, this happens. We get dogs into a foster after years in boarding, and almost always they get adopted like a few months later because now the dog has learned how to be part of the family, kind of hang out when everybody's watching TV and learn, like you said, learn the boundaries. Okay, I'm not allowed in the kitchen or around the dining room table when people are eating, those kind of things that just make the dog more adoptable. And that's really what we're looking for. So if anybody is interested, please let us know. You can fill out an application. If you're just got some questions, you can send an email to info@thelittlereddog.org. And again, we're happy to walk you through the process. We have trainers who can help you, even if you've never had a dog before. That's fine. I said this before in our podcast. I tend to like people who've never had a dog before because they tend to listen more. Most people, if they've had a dog and been very lucky to have the most amazing dog ever, if they get a dog with few issues or an issue, they tend to be like, well, this is terrible. This is a terrible dog. And it's not. It's just a dog that didn't have a lot of good humans, didn't develop a lot of those behaviors, maybe where it wasn't socialized. So again,
Yeah.
I've seen those kind of dogs go into a foster and really bloom.
I was going to point out, I know we have a few dogs that we post as needing to be the only dog in the home. And that doesn't necessarily mean you can't have other dogs in the home to foster them. We don't want you to stray away from those that are in need. If you can keep the dogs separated, either in separate rooms, in crate rotation, there are ways to do it. So we have some really great dogs that need to be the only dog in the home or can't be around cats. If you're able to keep your cat separate from the dog, you can still help. And these dogs really deserve the opportunity to be in a home. And we just don't want to take away their opportunity to be in a home just because people think if they are posted as needing to be the only dog in the home, there are options and we can work with you on those options if you have the space to keep them separate.
I'm really glad you brought that up. I mean, I do rotation in my own house. I mean, I have one of my fosters, she really isn't good with other dogs. I mean, she can be, but it takes a lot. And so I just keep her in a different room. We rotate a lot. Yeah, it's a little more work. You do have to be extra cautious, right? But at the end of the day, that dog that I have, Maddie, you guys probably heard me talk about her. She was going to be euthanized and now she's living a great life and she's a really great dog and she makes me laugh every day. But so like I said, I hate the idea that people think that rescue dogs are broken. There's something wrong with them. I can't tell you how many times I hear, well, you never know their background. We get a lot of purebred dogs that people bought as puppies. And then for one reason or another, not going to be blaming anybody, they're not good with other dogs or whatever. So it really doesn't matter where the dog comes from. And there's plenty of dogs that we've had where we didn't think they could be with another dog. But after, they settled in, got in a routine, started walking, with the other dogs, safely at a distance at first, then they tend to actually be better. Now, some will never do that. I don't want to say this is going to be ever, just let's do that. It's all going to be great. But we have seen that where some were like, really thought never could be with another dog. And they actually, once they settled and got to their routine and had their boundaries and had their, their corrections and their rewards, they're already great dogs, but they become even better dogs. And then sometimes they actually can be around other dogs. Sometimes they can only be around little dogs or sometimes they can only be around bigger dogs. But without knowing that, without having them at home and like doing that trial and error safely, we don't know that. And that, again, it just makes a dog more adoptable to be in a home, a foster home. And so you really are saving a life because you're saving a life that probably will be euthanized in the shelter. And because you actually foster, you make a space for another dog in the shelter. So maybe they won't be on the euthanasia list, because they've gotten some dogs out. And you all know if you've watched this podcast, the situation has been dire since probably the second half of 2022, and it hasn't gotten any better. And now we have emergencies like this, and we're not the only ones. I mean, this like the fall or summer, I can't remember. We had Helene and I think it was Milton, those hurricanes that just ripped through the Carolinas. Yeah, and that's devastation too because you're still losing your home. Everything is flooded. So everybody's had a really tough time in the last 6 months, I think. So I'd say if you can foster, it doesn't have to be for us. foster for anybody, but just do it because outside of donations, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but outside of monetary donations, I think fostering is the most important thing you can do to help the animals. So,
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
okay, I'm going to beat that into the ground. But I mean, we do talk about it a lot because fostering does save lives. It's not a slogan, it really is true. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times that we actually have saved only because we had a foster lined up. Um, and, that means the world because, again, that's what we want to do. We want to rescue it. We could rescue every dog we would, because I do believe that every dog deserves a chance. Sometimes they need multiple chances, just like humans, but it's important.
Very important.
Is there anything else on your mind today, Christine?
I know we had talked about a couple of things that we were looking forward to doing in the new year. I don't know if you want to go into any of those things. I know we talked about working towards a smaller scale facility. There's some things we want to do to our website, just some small changes. Obviously, the facility would be a big change, but
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So it was a gut punch for me to have to close a facility for a variety of reasons, right? I've never worked at something so hard and not seen it be successful. And there's a variety of reasons why that happened. Mostly we shouldn't have opened it until we had raised all the money. I was over optimistic about that. But yeah, so to Christine's point, we are regrouping. I do want to have a facility. We more than not, it will be a smaller scale because we definitely want a place for our dogs. And then hopefully we can resume boarding, training, and daycare so that we can raise revenue to support the rescue. Because that was the whole point about that. We just, I think I've told somebody I'm a kind of a go big or go home girl, and I definitely had to go home because it just didn't work. It was like I said, a variety of things. We weren't where there was any foot traffic, so that it was more of an industrial area, which was good and bad because we didn't get the complaints might get for barking whenever in a different area, but there was no foot traffic. We did have an incredible amount of volunteers in 2023 and 2024. Volunteers logged over 2,000 hours at the facility in both years.
it's
And
awesome.
that's, again, it's so awesome. So when I say a community, it's just not those of you who support us. It's our volunteers. It's the core of, heart of the rescue. So yes, we will be regrouping. We will be raising some funds and doing it better and having a smaller scale facility. More likely than not, we would like to have it in South County. Just it's where our volunteer base is. Now, again, we did have amazing volunteers that came up to the facility, which was in North County, but and we haven't found any place. I don't have anything on the radar. Again, I'm still licking my wounds here, but we will be doing that. We will be updating the website. There'll be some resources on there for people who need maybe to find temporary boarding for their dog if they're displaced or if they have to give up their dog. There'll be resources for you there. But there'll be a lot of that, and we are going to be doing just a lot of things to just really make the rescue more sustainable and set it up for success for years to come. So long after I'm gone, hopefully Christine will run it and save way more dogs than I did because of the things that we're going to do this year. So I am excited about that. And, it's just January 12th.
Although it doesn't feel like it. I feel like we've already lived half of the year.
I agree. I mean, it's, with everything that we have going on and then, again, with all of the destruction and things that are going on, it's just, it's tough, but I never question my resolve or Christine's resolve or anybody on the team. We are always going to do our best to save as many dogs as we can, help as many people in need as we can. And I'm like Christine, I'm excited about the changes that are going to come down. Hopefully they'll be coming down soon. It is more work for the team, but I think it'll be good overall. So I'm glad you brought that up.
We're all excited for this year. I know last year was tough on all of us. Like you said, losing the facility was a gut punch, but it's not for the lack of trying. I know everyone worked their butts off trying to make it work, and we learned, and we will move forward and continue helping.
Definitely. And on that note, I do want to shout out, I mean, everybody that volunteered and worked at the facility, I really do appreciate them. But I will say that Steve, who is my co-founder, and Justine, you guys probably know her from the videos and whatever, and Gary Newcomb, they all poured their blood, sweat, and tears into the facility as well. And I know it was hard for them too. It was hard when they were running it. It was hard when it closed, So I do want to thank them all because without them, we would have not made it as far as we did. But to Christine's point, frankly, the last 2 years were really fucking hard. And I'm glad to see them in our rearview mirror. And as tough as it has been this year for people, I'm still looking forward to 2025 being a year of growth for Little Red Dog and of some good changes. And like Christine said, hopefully a facility on a smaller scale at some point this year.
Yeah, I did want to bring up one thing, and until we do have a place to have our virtual events, I know that if you are watching this podcast, if you're in the Orange County, Southern California area, if you know of a place that we can hold a virtual event, we would love if you could reach out to us. You can email us at info@thelittlereddog.org. We would love to talk to you. The location that we were previously hosting our events was at our facility. And then prior to that was at PJ's house, which we can no longer do thanks to HOA. So if you live in a place that you can host the event, or you have a business maybe that's closed on the weekends that we can host the event there, we would love to hear from you and see if we can make it happen there. It's once a month would be the requirement. So it's not every weekend. It would be once a month for, what is it, about 4 hour
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
block. And
Yeah.
we're safe. We have volunteers to handle each dog individually. There's not going to be dogs running around. It's a very controlled environment. So if you can help, we would definitely love to hear from you.
No, I'm really glad you brought that up, Christine, because and I want to point out that the reason my HOA, they're just nuts. The neighbors suck. My neighbors suck. It's not like they were doing anything wrong. Like you said, if the dogs are being walked, people are picking up the, poop or whatever. Like, it's not like we're destructive or
Chaos.
anything else. Yeah, it's not chaos. It's like you said, we control things. We have a time schedule. So it's really not that bad. And I don't even think a dog's any barked. I just think, again, it's whatever. We'll bitch about my HOA some other time. But anyway, yeah, I think that. And also, if anybody has, I know this is crazy, but I might as well ask it before we end. To that point, if anybody has some kind of a building or something maybe you're not using, maybe you want a tax benefit by giving us a reduced rent, or maybe you just want to rent it out. Won't have to be reduced rent, although that would be nice. But if you have anything like that, or know anybody, or it comes up in your path after you watch this podcast, same thing, please contact us at info@thelittlereddog.org. I actually personally get all of those emails, so we will reach right back out. But the priority is to find some place to have virtual events. We only do it once a month. We are going to start doing in-person events more, which is a double-edged sword. It's good because we get the dog seen. It's also a lot of work, and it's, keeping everybody safe. It's a harder situation when all the dogs are together. But, again, we're going to keep moving. We're like the phoenix. We're going to rise from the ashes and be better. So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2025.
Me too.
Awesome. On that note, we will close this podcast. And I know that Gary and Steve will be up next. So everybody have a very happy new year. We're glad you're out there. I hope you're safe. And please continue to think about fostering and helping the dogs displaced from the fires. And have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.